Hey there! Welcome back to the Chaotic Soaper, where we choose creativity over perfection and enjoy the process. I'm Faith, and this month I'm doing the Soap Challenge Club again. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the challenge is this month, and then I'm going to go to the kitchen and show you some of the tools that we'll need for this month's challenge. So the challenge, the teacher is Edgar Cameracki, and the challenge is to create his technique, which is the Oasis Swirl. We have to create a soap that has two ombres going up the bar and something in the middle that is joined with the Oasis Swirl that Edgar demonstrates in the tutorial. So let's go into the kitchen and see the tools we're going to need. Hello, so today is the day I'm going to attempt my first run at this, getting the Oasis Swirl done for the May Soap Challenge, and I don't know if I'll have time to do this again. This might be it. Unfortunately, today has shrunk to, it's now 2 o'clock, and it's date night for me. I have to be somewhere by 7 o'clock. So I need to stop by 6 o'clock and get washed up and beautiful, or maybe by 5:30. So yeah, that's a definite constraint, which means I might have as little as 3 hours to do this from start to finish. I am going to definitely use the hot soaping method today. So I'll be making all the batter at once and then separating it to do my colors. And I've already got out some of the ingredients. I'm going to use the Soap Challenge Club recipe that was provided. You don't have to use the recipe, but I've found that learning the new recipes and checking out what some of those ingredients do, it's actually very wise. I loved the recipe for the sculpted layers. That one was terrific and I learned a lot. So I'm going to follow the recipe again this month for the Oasis Swirl. There were 2 recipes provided. One of them had, I think, soybean oil, which I don't have. So that one was a no-go. The other one had grapeseed oil, which I do have. I get it from Costco, actually, and I always have some around because it's a nice light carrier oil. I have 2 of these here, and I just use it for soap. So yeah, that's one that I always have here. And then for some reason, some time ago, I'd ordered some olive oil pomace, and I never used it. Not sure, can't remember anymore the recipe that I was looking at when I ordered it. But today, I think we're gonna probably use it up. This recipe also, and I'm not gonna share the recipes from the Soap Club because that's part of the privilege of joining the Soap Club. If you do want to join the Soap Club, I'll put the link under this video and you can sign up for another month. I can recommend it. It is fabulous. But yes, one of the things was beeswax, and I had quite a lot of that. As it turns out, there's 2 kilograms there and part of a kilo here, so I should be good for that one. So I'm going to get everything together. I'm going to mix my fragrance. I've decided to do a fragrance with clary sage. Unfortunately, I only have so much clary sage. It's a limited amount, as you can see there. I don't know if you can see how much is in it. There you go. And that's maybe 50 grams, 60 grams. So I'm going to try doing 4 kilograms of soap. I might only do 3 if I'm finding that I just can't stretch my central idea far enough. The other fragrances that I've picked, actually essential oils that I've picked to go with that today, I'm going to be using lemon, have lots of that. We'll be using bergamot, and again I have a fair bit of that, and we'll be adding some frankincense. And I did go ahead of time and look all of these up. I know that citruses are generally great to use. Unlike florals, they tend to slow down trace or not affect trace. So kind of the opposite of the effect floral would have. So they're great for a soap that needs to stay fluid for a long time, which is the case today. And apparently, I did not know, bergamot is also a citrus. It's a fruit. So bergamot is a terrific choice. Frankincense, I didn't find anything about it accelerating. I did find one reference saying that it would shrink or remove sort of non-malignant little things from your skin. Do not try this instead of going to a doctor, but I found it interesting, and it's always amazing, right? All the many cool and healing properties all these plants have, because hey, where does medicine come from? All right, it originally comes from plants, from nature, from compounds that already existed that we've learned to isolate. So yeah, something interesting about frankincense, and makes me more excited of how much I love the scent and putting it in soap and other products. And then the main star, which is clary sage. Again, I only have a bit, and I didn't find that it accelerated at all. People tended to say it was well behaved. I was smelling this, and the smell really reminded me of my paints when I was like a little kid, like a paint by numbers set or something. So this smell really was evocative of childhood for me, somehow surprisingly. I don't know what my paints were made of when I was a kid, but maybe there was sage in it or some plant oils or something from in my little pots of paint. So yeah, those are the things we're going to be using. I have out a ton of containers. I save these from my plant butters for mixing when I have to mix lots of different colors. So I have about 3 of those size, a couple this size, and I have my beakers, which I prepped. So I only own 3 of these beakers. I can't mix all my colors in them. I'll be using at least 5 colors, and there'll be a fair amount, I think, of titanium dioxide, which is white. I'll be putting in here that I'll be dipping into sort of throughout this method today. Yeah, so let's go look at the colors and get everything melted and ready, or mixed and ready. We'll see how it's gonna melt.
Okay, I'm ready to mix some colors. I have done useful approximations of what I'm going to do today. It's not going to be exact because I'm making, remember, only about 3,100 grams of soap, and I've planned it out based on each one of the sections of my mold. This mold here being 1 kilogram, it'll probably be less than that, but that was a useful approximation. It made it easy to do my calculation. So I derived all my figures from that, and I'll go through it with you in a bit, but right now I'm going to mix some colors. I have an hour and I'm feeling like I can do this. So titanium dioxide, we're going to need quite a lot, and I will tell you about titanium dioxide. Some people I've heard say they're never going to use it again. I understand why. It can have like powdery splotches or sort of, leave spots in your soap, and be hard to use that way because it's hard to mix. I'm going to show you what I do. So what I do is I make a paste, and then I just kind of keep diluting it. And that way there aren't a lot of lumps or bumps. And this is the bowl that I was just weighing out my room temperature oils in that I'm going to be using today, but I dumped them in my Canadian Tire pail that I use for soaping. So this was available for the TD, which is perfect because I'm going to need, like I say, more than 1.5 kilograms of soap batter to be white. And some of the colors that I'm using today, the radioactive and the blue shocker, I'm using such small amounts, I approximate, that I'll actually end up probably mixing a bit more than that because it becomes hard to mix like 200 or 300 grams of soap color. So I'll just mix a bit more, and I'll have to adjust, won't we? I'll have to adjust. But this one is kind of the basis of everything because I have to do both sides of my divider mold have to be ombre, and then the middle will be a different kind of swirl that will then be taken across. Maybe you'll see as I do it. And the tutorials for this month were great, but it was a lot to take in. I had to watch it a few times. And in the end, it's still going to be, you know, improvisational to some extent. So that's starting to be more like a paste and less like a powder. And these are oils of the recipe. I didn't use my room temperature butters for this because I'm going to be using the heat transfer method to melt them in a moment. But I did use the room temperature oils and took out an aliquot, a portion of that, to mix my colors so that I'm not adding any extra oil to the recipe, because it'll make it take longer to set, might make it too gooey or something might go off kilter. Also, I was a tiny bit over because of the way I weighed it out, and I knew that. I was looking at it and I said, now I got all that olive oil perfect, I got to be careful with this grapeseed oil because it's a very small amount and it'll be easy to go over and hard to remove if I pour it straight into the other stuff. And of course I was over by 10 grams. So we're going to see how that works out for me. And some of this is going to get, I think I'm going to go with that. And then as I'm adding it to the batter, the stick blender will help me, I think. And the spatula, probably. Okay, we're going to go with that for now. And do the next color, which will be, I think, I'm not using a Mad Mica for this one color, actually. This is exciting or not, depending on how you feel about it. I'm going to use my Windy Point that I already had here, Magic Violet. And I've used this color before and it is pretty reliable. So I'm going to use quite a bit of it because I'm starting, this side is going to start kind of a light mauvey color and get darker. So I need to be adding this color to it, but I also need to mix some in the initial batter. That's probably tons. That might be too much. Okay. And I'm going to just recycle this spoon. There's going to be a little bit of, tiny bit of TD in it. And these are not as picky to mix as TD, titanium dioxide, is. Of course, the micas, they're very happy to be dispersed in oil. Nothing weird. I probably could use a little more, couldn't I? Trying not to overdo it because I didn't pour off that much. It's starting to feel like a lot. Okay. That's more oil than it looks like because it's a rather big pail. Okay, the next color I'm going to be mixing is for the other side of the ombre. It's going to start with a dark blue and go to light. Hey, I'm back. So I'm going to make some small amounts of the colors that'll be used in the center, and titanium dioxide white is one of them. The second one is Mad Micas radioactive, also a lime green. And the very last one is Twilight. And after this, I'm ready to do my transfer soaping method.
Well, I think that does look a bit better. I did look it up before putting a soap batter with lye in it into the microwave. I was super nervous. It looks smoother. I am worried there are going to be some beeswax little pellets in this soap. Not gonna lie. It's a concern. Okay, and it still looks nice and fluid. So now I have to weigh out some aliquots. I put about 1,200 in this one. It might be smaller than it should be in my titanium dioxide. Now I'm going to do my others. gonna lie, I think I still see some beeswax in here. So that was a goofy thing today. And I don't know why I started with purple. And I ended up having to go clean some equipment. And I got 400, so I'm already kind of off bookish here. I'm not sure at all how this is going to go. By the way, sorry, I took off my lapel mic because I thought I was done talking. Then I realized I was starting to have a disaster. So since I changed my mind and it's now the blue that's going from light to dark, I'm going to start off with an amount of titanium dioxide. I'm going to pour titanium dioxide in here. What did I say? Dark to light or light to dark? Okay. Remind me if I forget. The blue is going from light to dark. That means we want to start in here with mostly TD. I think I'm going to pour some TD straight in here. Straight up pour it in here. And I'm going to pour some in here to be pouring from. And I'm making a huge mess. What were we expecting? That's pretty much what we were expecting. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see how much of this will be my starting color of blue.
All right, so there were a few problems with this one. Um, I did not have a jug that I just kept adding dark or adding light to. I was running completely out of color at every pour. Um, so this was really eyeballed. They don't really look properly like ombres. The middle, because the soap was thickening up very fast, I kind of ladled everything into my big jug and gave it a couple of swirls and crossed my fingers. I didn't get a nice swirl. There's a lot of muddying. I'm surprised to see any of the individual colors at all, but it's a hot mess. It's not what I wanted. It's, it's interesting to look at and it is setting up as a soap. So that's good news. All of that's good. And I love the scent that I mixed. Unfortunately, I'm now out of clary stage, so the next batch won't have this scent. Um, but yeah, this would have been an okay drop pour or something like that. The divider mold and me just are not friends. We're not getting along. I'm not super happy using it. Um, I think the one I bought is a good product. It's lovely, but I have trouble pouring into it. I always slop around and make a mess. I have trouble getting the dividers out. It's just, I did do better this time than the first time I used it because I didn't have the bowing out because I was adding slowly to each section, as you might have seen in the video clip. And so, yeah, what I did not like about this batter, so I used two ingredients I've never used before, and then I used my heat transfer method that I've recently come to really like to mix everything. And the heat transfer method might not have been the best choice. I'm trying to decide now between using the heat transfer method again and changing up the ingredients a bit. So maybe going with a batter that I know better, or trying this batter again, but doing a conventional like double boiler method to melt everything. The beeswax little pastilles in particular need a lot of melting. They melt at a higher temperature, and they didn't fully melt. So then I was kind of pulse blending it in the microwave, unfortunately, after I'd already combined it with lye, of course. So, there's lye, and I was just, that was very nerve-wracking for me. Um, I heated it up a little, and then I still felt like I saw beeswax pastils, and you may even see a tiny bit, I think, I think that's a little bit of beeswax pastel. So I'm not, yeah, I can see one on this side too. I don't know if you can see that. Anyhow, I'm not super happy with that batter. I might try it again with no beeswax. The pomade, I'm not sure, was that contributing to it thickening up faster, or was it just all the blending that I did and the heating up and everything from trying to melt the beeswax? Anyhow, I was panicking pouring this. It was not a good feeling. It was not liquid, and it did not swirl. So, despite my efforts, I don't have an Oasis Swirl. I have a soap with three lines of color. They're beautiful colors, and I might go with the same palette again and try again, or I might change it slightly and do something more because I was thinking this morning I'd really like to do a couple of soaps for Pride Month. Maybe a rainbow soap, or I'd like to do a trans flag actually for a particularly close friend that I think that would be a very thoughtful gesture, and I'd feel good about having that soap to sell at our booth and online. So I'm thinking of doing that. Um, and then we'll see if I can master this technique. So take two.